All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're acting as directors. We are going to completely deconstruct the literal production blueprint behind one of those viral, high-impact motivational YouTube shorts. You know the ones. We're looking at a really fascinating source document today, a 25 to 30-second cinematic piece titled The Architecture of Silence. We're going to pop the hood and see exactly how creators engineer raw emotion, grab your attention, and inspire action in under half a minute. So, get ready, because we're unpacking the exact formula used to stop your scroll dead in its tracks. And we're starting right in the gritty reality, the script's mandatory first 3-second hook. Nobody is coming to save you. Not now, not ever. I mean, wow. In the world of short-form content, those first 3 seconds are absolutely everything. This phrase is strategically engineered to grab you immediately and set this dark, super intense tone. It jolts you right out of that scrolling trance. It's confrontational, it's stark, and honestly, it just demands that you keep watching.
Section 1. The Anatomy of Motivation. Framing the Blueprint.
The overarching strategy here is pretty fascinating. We're looking at exactly how a 25 to 30-second cinematic piece actually manipulates emotion. Here are the strict, hard constraints of the brief. We have a 9:16 vertical window, the standard phone screen, specifically targeting a US audience. And check out these demands: aggressive, TikTok-style subtitles that are large and bold, and a tone that absolutely must remain gritty, powerful, and realistic. Fast cuts and high-impact storytelling are the law here. Absolutely zero cheesy cliches allowed. Every single second is mathematically calculated.
Moving to Section 2. Scripting the Gritty Truth. Words as Weapons.
So the brief calls for a natural American English voiceover with a realistic tone, right? And it uses these slight pauses to let the gravity of the words really sink in. The script reads, "Fear? That's the price of entry. Pain? That's the process. You're not stuck. You're just avoiding the work." Notice how it doesn't coddle the viewer at all. Instead, it uses stark realism to challenge them, declaring that greatness is built in silence, brick by brick. It's basically a masterclass in using words as literal weapons against our own complacency. And to accompany that audio, there's a highly precise visual text strategy. They use a word-by-word highlight style for the captions. Words like fear, pain, own it, and no excuses. These highly charged trigger words aren't just subtitles. They are visual punctuation. These specific terms are meant to be physically punched onto the screen in bold text to reinforce the emotion of the audio. So when the voiceover says fear, the word explodes into view. It creates this unavoidable multi-sensory impact. Section 3. Visualizing the struggle, the descent and ascent arc. The scene direction maps out an exact chronological visual journey. It kicks off with the intense loneliness of a New York or Chicago skyline at 4 a.m. Then, bam, tight close-ups of the descent, sweat, failure, the sting of rejections, raw stress. Phase 3 is the grind, working late nights, training hard, and totally alone in the gym. And finally, the narrative arc resolves as the visuals ascend to a powerful moment of success, a confident walk right into the sunrise. To really hammer home this emotional journey, the brief relies heavily on visual metaphor, specifically contrasting two distinct states. During all those scenes of failure and grinding, smoke and fog represent the descent, visually manifesting confusion and fear. It's meant to feel super disorienting. But to contrast that fog, the narrative demands a bright sunrise, signifying the clarity and triumph of the ascent. It's basically a classic hero's journey compressed into mere seconds, using the actual environment to tell the story without saying a single word. Which brings us to a strict lighting directive that is totally non-negotiable in this brief: the symbolic lighting transition. This is a cinematic technique where you shift from dark to bright environments to subconsciously signal a character's personal growth and newfound control. Going from the dark, gritty shadows of a 4 a.m. wake-up to bright morning light physically shows the audience that the character is finally taking the wheel. You don't just hear the transformation, you watch the world physically brighten around them.
Section 4. Designing the Sonic Atmosphere, the Invisible Engine.
The audio design here perfectly syncs the senses. Notice how meticulously the audio cues track with the narrative phases. During the hook and the 4 a.m. wake-up, the brief demands deep cinematic bass, like something you can actually feel in your chest. As the script moves into the grind and struggle, where the voiceover talks about pain and we see that late-night grinding, the audio requires a slow build-up. And for the ultimate transformation, a literal heartbeat paired with a rising sound effect. It raises the tension to its absolute physiological peak right as the visual cuts to that sunrise.
Section 5. The final transformation, the climax and call to action.
Right at the crescendo, the script delivers this final psychological blow. Stop blaming your past. Own everything. Because the moment you take control, everything changes. Delivered over that bright sunrise we talked about, and perfectly synchronized with the peaking heartbeat sound effect, these final lines are engineered to completely shift the viewer's mindset from victimhood to total ownership. It's the ultimate emotional payoff for the dark, gritty tension they built up over the first 20 seconds. And the entire 30-second architecture culminates in this final call to action. Start today. No excuses. It's massive, it's bold, and it demands immediate, undeniable momentum from the viewer. Every fast cut, every single bass drop, every highlighted word was engineered for one simple reason: to make the viewer feel completely compelled to internalize and obey this powerful directive. Now that we've exposed the actual machinery behind the motivation, I leave you with this final thought. Knowing exactly how these emotions are engineered, what will you build in the silence? It is honestly fascinating how much calculated architecture goes into a fleeting 30-second clip on your feed. We've seen the whole blueprint, from the 9:16 aspect ratio to the symbolic lighting to the heartbeat audio. So how will you use this understanding of focus, paying, and control in your own life? Thanks for exploring this amazing production brief with me today. Harness that motivation, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.